My name is Grace Parker. I am 66 years old. I live alone in a small town near Manchester. My husband died 9 years ago. Since then, it has only been me and my memories. I have only one child. My son's name is Ryan. When Ryan was young, he was my whole world. I still remember the day he was born. The nurse placed him in my arms. He was so small, so beautiful. And at that moment, I promised myself that I would do everything I could to give him a good life. And I did. I worked hard, very hard. Sometimes I cleaned offices late at night. Sometimes I worked weekends. Sometimes I came home so tired that I could barely stand. But whenever Ryan smiled at me, all my exhaustion disappeared. Ryan was a good boy. He always hugged me before school. He always kissed my cheek before bed. Sometimes he would look at me and say, "Mom, when I grow up, I'll buy you a big house." Then he would laugh. And I would laugh too. Because I didn't want a big house, I only wanted him. Years passed. Ryan grew older. He finished university. Then he got a good job in London. I was proud of him. So proud. The day he left home, I stood at the train station. I smiled. I waved goodbye. And I told him to chase his dreams. But the moment the train disappeared, I sat on a bench and cried. Because my little boy was gone. At first, Ryan called me every day. Sometimes twice a day. He told me everything: his new apartment, his new friends, his new job. I loved listening to him, even if the conversations lasted only 5 minutes. Hearing his voice made me happy. Then 1 year later, Ryan got married. His wife was named Emily. She seemed kind. She seemed sweet. And I was happy for them. Very happy. But after the wedding, something slowly began to change. At first, I didn't notice it. Life gets busy. People have responsibilities. I understood that. At least, I thought I did. Ryan's daily calls became weekly calls. Then weekly calls became monthly calls. Then sometimes months passed without a single phone call. Not one. Every morning I checked my phone. Every evening I checked it again. And every night before sleeping, I hoped to see his name on the screen. But most nights, nothing appeared. One Christmas, I cooked Ryan's favorite meal: roast chicken, mashed potatoes, and apple pie. I set 2 plates on the table. Then I looked at the empty chair across from me. And suddenly, the house felt very quiet. I sat there alone, looking at that empty chair, trying not to cry, but eventually the tears came anyway. Because loneliness has a way of finding you when nobody else does. Days became weeks, weeks became months, months became years, and little by little my son became a stranger. Then one evening, I found an old photo album. I sat on the couch and started turning the pages. There was Ryan's first birthday. Ryan's first day of school. Ryan riding a bicycle. Ryan hugging me. Ryan smiling. Ryan laughing. Ryan loving me. Then I found a photograph that broke my heart. Ryan was 7 years old. Under the picture, he had written something with a blue marker. "My mom is my best friend." I touched those words with my fingers, and for the first time, I asked myself a question that scared me. Am I still his best friend, or was I only a memory now? The next morning, my phone suddenly rang. I looked at the screen, and my heart nearly stopped. It was Ryan. My son was calling, after almost 4 months of silence. I answered immediately. "Ryan?" For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he finally said something I never expected to hear. Softly, "Mom, I need your help."
For a moment, I couldn't speak. After 4 long months of silence, the first words I heard from my son were, "I need your help." I wish I could tell you that those words didn't hurt, but they did. More than I wanted to admit, because a small part of me had hoped he was calling simply because he missed me, because he loved me, because he wanted to hear my voice. Instead, he needed something, and somehow, deep inside my heart, I already knew that. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" I asked, trying my best to sound calm. Ryan took a deep breath. Then he said, "Mom, things aren't going well." For the next 20 minutes, I listened. I listened as my son told me about his problems. His business was failing. He had borrowed money. The bills were growing. The pressure was becoming too much. And now, he didn't know what to do. As he spoke, I could hear the fear in his voice, the same fear I used to hear when he was a little boy, the same fear he had when he woke up from bad dreams, the same fear he had when he fell off his bicycle. And suddenly, he wasn't a grown man anymore. He was my little boy again, the little boy who needed his mother. "Mom, I don't know who else to talk to." That sentence broke my heart. Because despite everything, despite the silence, despite the distance, I still loved him. I always would. After the call ended, I sat quietly in my chair. The house was silent. The clock on the wall kept ticking. Tick, tick, tick. And all I could think about was Ryan. That night, I barely slept. I kept remembering the little boy who used to run into my room every morning, the little boy who used to hold my hand when crossing the street, the little boy who once told me, "Mom, I'll always take care of you when I'm older." Funny how life works. When children are young, they think they will never leave, and when parents grow old, they still believe those promises. 2 days later, Ryan arrived at my house. When I opened the door, I almost didn't recognize him. He looked exhausted. His face was pale. There were dark circles under his eyes. And for the first time in my life, my son looked defeated. Without thinking, I pulled him into a hug, a long hug, the kind of hug only a mother can give. For a few seconds, he didn't move. Then slowly, he hugged me back. And that's when I felt it. His shoulders were shaking. My son was crying. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like someone carrying too much pain for too long. That evening, we sat together in the kitchen, the same kitchen where he used to do his homework, the same kitchen where we celebrated birthdays, the same kitchen where his father used to sit. Ryan looked around the room. Then he smiled sadly. "Nothing has changed." I smiled back. Some things are worth keeping. A few moments later, Ryan finally told me the truth, the complete truth, not just about his debts, not just about money, but about everything. He admitted that after moving away, he became obsessed with success. Every promotion mattered, every dollar mattered, every business opportunity mattered, and little by little, the people who loved him mattered less. He missed birthdays, he missed holidays, he missed family dinners, he missed years of our lives, and somehow, he didn't even notice it happening. Then Ryan looked directly at me, his eyes filled with tears, and he asked a question I never expected. "Mom, do you hate me?" My heart shattered, because no matter how much pain he caused, he was still my son,
The same little boy I had loved his entire life. I reached across the table. I held his hand. Then I answered. Ryan, a mother can be disappointed. A mother can be hurt. A mother can cry herself to sleep. But a mother never stops loving her child. Ryan lowered his head and began to cry again, this time harder than before. And as I watched my son sitting there, broken, lost, full of regret, I realized something. The little boy I thought I had lost was still there, somewhere deep inside him. But both of us knew that a shocking discovery was waiting for us the very next morning, a discovery that would change both of our lives forever.
The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. The house was quiet. For a moment, I forgot Ryan was there. Then I smelled coffee. I slowly walked into the kitchen, and there he was, my son, standing by the stove, making breakfast. It sounds like a small thing. Maybe it is, but Ryan had never made breakfast for me before, not once, and seeing him there made me smile. "Good morning, Mom." He looked nervous, almost like a child trying to make up for a mistake. I smiled. "Good morning, sweetheart." While we were eating, someone knocked on the front door. I wasn't expecting anyone. Neither was Ryan, so I opened it. A man stood outside, holding a small package. He asked for Ryan. Ryan immediately looked uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. The man handed him the package and left. Ryan stared at it, but he didn't open it. Not right away. Something was wrong. Shh. "Ryan, what is it?" He looked down, then slowly opened the package. Inside was a framed photograph, an old photograph, a family photograph. Me, Ryan, and his father, taken almost 20 years ago. Suddenly, Ryan started crying. Not quietly, not politely. He broke down completely. I had never seen him cry like that, not even when his father died, not even when he left home. Never. He held the photograph against his chest and whispered, "What happened to me?" For a long time, he couldn't stop crying. Then finally, he spoke, and what he told me surprised me. Ryan said that a few weeks earlier, his daughter asked him a question, a simple question, a question children ask without realizing how powerful it is. His daughter had asked, "Daddy, why don't we visit Grandma anymore?" Ryan didn't know how to answer, because the truth was ugly. There was no good reason, no excuse, no explanation. He had simply stopped making time for me. Then his daughter asked another question, one that haunted him, one that kept him awake at night. She said, "Daddy, Will I forget you too when I grow up? Ryan looked at me. His eyes were red. His voice was shaking, and he said, "Mom, that question destroyed me, because I realized I was teaching my own daughter how to treat family." Suddenly, everything made sense. The phone call, the tears, the guilt, the regret. My son wasn't only struggling with money, he was struggling with himself. That afternoon, we sat together for hours. We talked about everything: the years we lost, the birthdays we missed, the phone calls that never happened, the loneliness, the pain, all of it. Then, Ryan said something I had waited years to hear. "Mom, I'm sorry. I can't get those years back. I can't undo the pain. But if you'll let me, I want to be your son again." I couldn't speak. The tears came too quickly, so I simply stood up, walked over to him, and hugged him. The same way I hugged him when he was 5 years old. The same way I hugged him when he was 15. The same way I hugged him when he was 25. Because some things never change. A mother's love is one of them. Today, life is different. Ryan calls every week, sometimes every day. My grandchildren visit often. The house doesn't feel so empty anymore. Sometimes I still think about those lonely years. And yes, they hurt. They always will. But I've learned something important. People make mistakes. Sometimes very painful mistakes. Sometimes they get distracted by work, by money, by success, by life, and they forget what truly matters. Sometimes, if love is still alive, if regret is real, if hearts are willing to change, families can heal. So if your parents are still alive, call them, visit them, spend time with them. Don't wait for tomorrow, because one day, tomorrow may come too late. And trust me, the people who loved you first are often the people who miss you the most.